So, I just got through watching the most brilliant and amazing movie of all time. And what do you guys think of when you think of the best movie of all time?
I think of the Assassination Classroom live action film.
Personally, I'd rather pick the Death Note one.
Let's see. I'd say Boku no Pico.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Well, those are all solid. I mean, personally, Dragon Ball Evolution is up there with the big boys, but
Oh yeah.
FMA
True.
live action, 10 out of 10, master
Oh
I
my
just
god!
Oh my god.
best movie of
Holy
all
fuck.
time.
Oh my god.
It's great.
My friend Gauru and Forever Alone can attest to this. They will all recommend.
It has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
You can't beat it.
Yeah,
you
I saw
can't
that.
beat it. So you know what? If you can't beat it, join it. Because remember, if you can't pay the cash, you're out with the trash.
Wasting away again in Margaritaville, searching for my lost sugar soul.
Welcome everybody to the podcast. I am your host, Old Shaman. Joining me again today, we have the great, the wonderful Gear Third Manga Reviews, and of course, our wonderful sidekick host, Shrug Pod.
You're darn right.
Also joining us today as our guest, we have Neptune Plays, all-time best guest that we've ever had here on the podcast. Welcome again, Neptune. How are you
It's
doing
me.
today?
He's the only guest who's never betrayed us.
That is very actually, no, that is a lie.
What?
Neptune has appeared on the indefinite hiatus.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Apollo invited me personally to go to it, so I couldn't refuse.
That was some bullshit, man.
Apollo is really the true dark. He's the true Dark Lord.
Hey man,
of the
I want to
Manga
be
Alert
a host,
podcast.
alright? Hashtag Neptune for host.
No.
Maybe season 5 if we get there. Anyways, guys,
We'll see.
today we are going to be talking about none other than the greatest, the GOAT, the best series that is a shonen to grace both our eyes, ears, maybe mouths for some people. If that's your case, then
Bleach, baby! That's what we're talking about.
Bleach.
Full Metal Panic. Just kidding, Full Metal Alchemist. Anyways, what is there to say in all seriousness about how great this series is? I mean, if we're talking about probably one of the most well-written and drawn shonen mangas of all time, I would say FMA definitely ranks up there in terms of both story and artwork, because this series, just in the progression that it has, I'm trying to go off of what the amount of... Is it a 26-volume series?
27.
27. It's a 27-volume series, and the amount of changes that are made over the course of the 27 volumes is just fantastic. This series was such a fun read, and I cannot wait to double dip with those Full Metal editions that are going to be dropping here pretty soon.
It's like one of the most complete shonen manga I've ever read. Like, you read it, there's no loose ends, everything just comes together nicely. It's beautiful.
It's just so well written and consistent. It's just throughout it just remains at this, peak level enthusiasm.
Yeah.
You just never get sick of it.
I don't know if enthusiasm would be the word I'd use, but in terms of excitement,
okay.
in the storytelling, I can definitely see that. The characters are just so great in this series. I mean, there are some meme characters in this, but not as much as you'd think. I mean, Edward Elric, Alphonse, Colonel Mustang.
great.
I mean, I'm just naming a few characters, and like I said, a lot of these characters are just all unique and great in their own right. I don't know where to start. I guess whether or not
I think we should just like talk about just each individually how we got into the series just to start.
Fair
it off.
enough. Does anyone want to do the honors of telling us their story on how they came across Full Metal Alchemist for the first time?
I guess I'll start because mine is kind of cringy. When I first started watching anime like almost 5 years ago now, I only seen like Death Note and like that's it, and maybe Attack on Titan. So I was like, what's some other things I could watch? Let me look. So I look up. Watch Mojo had done their top 10 anime video.
Ooh, best video to get a recommendation from.
Anyway, it's a god awful video, but they ranked Full Metal Alchemist as #1. They're not Brotherhood, the 2003 series.
Interesting.
So I was like, ooh, let me check this out, because Watch Mojo, they know what's up. But yeah, so I watched the 2003 series, and I like instantly fell in love with it. I'm like, oh, this is some good shit right here. So I was watching, I was loving it until like about like the last few episodes. I'm like, okay, the fuck is going on? So that sort of just like ended. That show had a really weird ending, but I looked more into it, and I was like, oh, okay, so they strayed from the manga story, and that Brotherhood is the other anime that actually follows the story for the most part. So I'm like, okay, let me check that out. So I did, and it became like my favorite show ever, and like still, honestly, it's one of my, like the best shows I've ever seen. Especially in terms of shonen anime. And I think that Christmas I got the box set for the manga, and I reread I read it for the first time, the whole manga, experiencing that juicy original story. And ever since, it's just been one of my favorites. Like, can't go wrong with a bit of FMA.
For sure. Yeah, no, definitely ranks in my top 5 personally. I think it's a great choice in terms of if you were to recommend like someone to start in terms of manga collecting. I would say the box set is the way to go, but of course with the Full Metal editions that are coming out, I mean, you can either wait.
But even so, like the box set is such a good deal.
Yeah,
too.
no. See, here's the thing: on Amazon, when I bought the box set, I've read FMA so many times, but by the time I actually didn't invest fully into the series until about 2012, 2013, and by that time the box set on Amazon was priced out at $50. It was on sale for December, so I got a major deal,
shit.
Brand new too.
That's incredible.
Brand new, and I mean, I'd say I got my money's worth because those volumes are still getting good use because I can reread the series for days. I mean, every time I reread the series, I end up picking up on new things that I'd never noticed before, whether it's just picking up on minor details or certain art points in the series.
Foreshadowing and stuff.
But going on with the topic on how I got introduced to Fullmetal Alchemist, similar to Gear's story. Because Brotherhood wasn't the original anime, of course. That was the kind of like the reboot anime to fulfill the original purpose of what the manga had originally shown. But I grew up with the 2003 series, which for many is considered, it's still a good anime. It's not necessarily the worst thing I've ever watched. The first few episodes followed the series pretty closely, and then it sort of deviates into its own individual story, which, for the most part, being that it's mostly filler, isn't too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
It almost can pass off as canon content, but it is sort of it is sort of over over encumbered by certain dumb things, I guess you can say, fan fiction almost to that point.
Shrugpod and Neptune, have you guys seen the original series?
I watched, I think, 10 episodes of the original, which was still following the manga, and then I was going to go and watch Brotherhood, because everyone told me, if you want to really appreciate Brotherhood, watch the original, and because, the original was 51 episodes and Brotherhood was 64, I was like, I can't be bothered to watch both, it's too much time, so I just watched Brotherhood.
Yep.
And there were a few changes made. Like in Brotherhood, they cut out some of the parts from the beginning that were actually in the 2003 series.
Yes.
So
also, that too was an interesting point to make because I know I forget her name. She's the Ishbalan girl, but
Rose.
She was white in the original, and then she got a whole. It was sort of like the ramen post time skip disease. I don't know what that was, but there were certain censorship things that were changed from the manga to. I guess there was some correlation where they didn't actually know what her entire. I don't know. Anyways, that was strange. But anyways, going along with the 2003 anime, I watched that. I liked it. The ending was horrible. We didn't get a proper conclusion until the movie, which came out like when Brotherhood was airing. I think.
No, there was another movie when Brotherhood came out, but I think it was like 2005 or something.
Okay, fair enough. But I remember the movie came out a few years later for the original anime, and then that was kind of the proper conclusion. But even then, it was fucking weird. Like it made no sense, and it was just
they went to World War I Britain or some bullshit.
Yeah, it was fucking weird. Anyways, So flash forward, I think when I was originally I used to go to a website. It was called Anime Freak. I don't know if you guys used to use that website. It was It was probably the early pioneer of like watching anime online and reliably.
Oh, so are you saying it was a
240, 480p quality?
So are you saying it was a piracy site?
There was no Crunchyroll back in 2007. Rest in peace.
Doesn't matter. It means you don't watch anime.
Well, how else were you supposed to watch it?
Mother's basement gonna smack
Jeez,
ya.
I mean, shit. I guess I could have bought the VHS tapes. Oh wait, those didn't exist in 2007. Wrong time period. Anyways, flash forward. Long story short, I got involved with Brotherhood a little later. I had watched the episodes on Adult Swim, but very, very loosely. I was like, is this the same show? Like, when I was originally watching it, the idea was that, oh, this is like a reboot, so it's like, you know, it has better visuals and whatnot, and it looks nicer. And then I saw episodes that I had never seen before. And I was like, well, this is weird. This doesn't follow the original anime, so is this a different show, or is it a sequel, or like, what's going on here? And so I did a little bit of research and found out that the original anime didn't really follow the manga, and then I was like, oh, manga, what's that? So that's sort of how I got I killed two birds with one stone. I read both the manga and I watched the anime, and both were amazing. But yeah, that's sort of how I got introduced to it.
All right, Shrugpod, you're up.
Mind if I go next?
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, Neptune,
yeah, Neptune's
you're a guest of honor. Go ahead.
Neptune's more important anyway, sorry, Shrug. He was actually gonna replace Taz, but you know, he was too busy studying.
Oof.
Oh man.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway.
I expect to see that study meme pop up on the screen.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
there we go.
Well, how I got introduced into Fullmetal Alchemist. This was when I was just getting into anime, and the only thing I had seen, don't cringe, but it was Fairy Tail and Sword Art Online.
Oh my god.
Two great animes.
Two fantastic works of art, masterpiece, 10 out of 10. That's the only shows I've seen. So I started out with pretty shit taste,
They should
I'll
have
be
won an
honest.
Oscar.
And so I didn't really know what a good show was until I actually watched
Clearly.
Fullmetal Alchemist.
Dragon Ball Super.
Indeed. So my friend was telling me how the whole timeline worked out, because I was confused. I had looked up Fullmetal Alchemist before, and I had seen that there were two different ones, and I was like, are they sequels? Are they... I didn't know what was up. So he told me basically that Fullmetal Alchemist just kind of deviated from the manga, and Brotherhood was the proper adaptation. And so, of course, I was like, okay, you know what? I have plenty of free time. I'm going to watch both of them. I lied. So... So I ended up just watching, I think it was 11 episodes of the original, and then I watched, you know, all of Brotherhood, and I got the manga actually last year on my birthday because I was just getting into manga collecting.
Nice.
Because I would never read manga, period, so I never even thought about reading the manga at all. I was just like, ew, manga? No, I'm going to watch the anime. But now it's like the opposite, because I have no time to watch anime, but I have plenty of time to read manga. But
and manga's better anyway.
Yeah. But it's such a good read. It's so consistent throughout, and it's just, it always is so, what's the word?
And
just
Brotherhood
good.
doesn't have any filler.
Yeah.
Well, except for the first
episode. Minus the first episode.
And I think there's a recap, like, halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is, but it's like it's in a different format. It's like Hohenheim.
Yeah, he's like looking at a fire or something, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot different than just a normal recap.
Huh. All right.
Yeah, it's like the SpongeBob campfire episode.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
it's exactly.
So
like
guys,
that.
let me just say something real quick. Let me just jump in here. Berserk is shit.
What the fuck? Wait a minute.
What was that?
Hold
on.
What's going on?
Oh?
Neptune.
Oh?
Well.
This is awkward.
Oh, and he.
Well,
He just went offline. Well.
Well. I hope he's okay. I guess. I mean.
I don't know what.
Well, that's something, all right.
I wonder what he has against Berserk.
So,
Well, maybe we'll find out one day if he's still alive. We'll have to
maybe
wait
we'll
and
find
see, I
out
guess.
Sometime soon. Weird.
All right.
I
Well,
guess.
Anyway, so Shrugpod, how did you get into Fullmetal Alchemist?
as the great Einstein once said, the show must go on, even without our guest of honor.
He'll be duly missed. But so the way that I got into Fullmetal Alchemist is I had it's when I actually started, like, I had no idea what was going on, but I would watch like Toonami on Adult Swim really late, and I watched like episodes of Brotherhood come on, and I watched like 2 episodes, and it was like when Lin Yao showed up, and like when Winry was there talking to Scar, and so I had like no idea what was going on at first, and it was like one of the first shows I watched because I was just like trying to get my hands on any anime that I could. So I started getting into like reading manga and stuff, so I went to my public library and I got the crappy 3-in-1.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I
slay.
got that was like the first thing that I like checked out there. And so I read up to like all through volume 3, and I got scared of the Nina thing, and I didn't read it for like a while, and I was like, dude, this is freaking weird. And
Big
so
brother.
yeah, so I had gotten like really weirded out by it, and I was like, oh, I'm actually like, I don't really know what to do. So I dropped it for a while, and I came back later, and I started like collecting more series and everything. And so I actually remember me and Gear were talking about it, about like he was all like, yeah, the box set's a really good investment. So I was like, oh, okay. I'd already gotten like the One Piece box set, and I didn't think I was gonna get like any other series in a box set. But then he goes, Fullmetal Alchemist is really, really good. So I
don't remember this, for the record.
But
I don't think anything here is by the record, to be honest with you.
it's true. But I bought the box set, and I actually went and bought the movies for both of them to watch like after Fullmetal Alchemist stuff. And I had like researched it, and I'd seen the 2003 series before I'd gotten the box set, but I knew that wasn't like the actual like true story to it, so I never like based all my knowledge like off of like that. I only based off the anime. So I had went and I had read the series. I think it was like 2 summers ago when I read it, and I thought it was really good because it was always something that was like interesting, and it was like one of the first series that I had that it's like I never got bored with it.
Yeah,
so
like there's never a dull moment in this series. Like
exactly,
It keeps trugging on, basically introducing new characters and new plot points and just solid storytelling throughout. So
yeah, and so that's one reason why I really liked it, and so I just have it sitting right there. I see it now, and it's one of my favorite series. I really enjoyed, and I was like, I also got it like at a really sketchy dealer. It was some guy that's like, it just so happened that I was like in this city, and this guy was selling it, so I went to go pick it up from this guy. And so I drove down there. I had my like money with me and everything, and so so I pulled up to this guy's house, and like he said, "You here for the box?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was, yeah,
Full Metal drug deal.
Yeah, so I handed him like $70, and he wanted $90 for it. It was like 90 or 100, but I didn't hand him all the cash right away, so I only had like this 1 wad of cash, and I gave it to him.
75% of it.
I only gave him like $70, and then he
out of 100.
I think it was out of like 100, and so he just gave me the box and just slammed the door, and I was all like, okay, and so I was just like, well, I guess I get to keep the rest of my money, so I just like laughed. and I went home.
Oh, that's incredible.
Did you keep the box in minty fresh condition? And
oh yeah, like it was like
the novel.
It was like brand
and the
new.
shitty poster that it came with.
Yeah, I got everything, and it all looked really good.
Well,
You know, that guy probably owed like his dealer $100, and he probably just got him killed.
to be fair, the poster does not beat the quality of the Pokemon Adventures poster.
Oh
That
no,
is
that's the best poster. Like
oh,
I thought
man.
I had seen the best that Viz box sets have to offer until I got Pokemon Adventures. That poster, holy shit, man.
Oof, man,
Ooh.
legendary quality.
Legendary.
I mean, if we're talking like in terms of like how great the box is, like it's almost like its own private bookshelf. Like it displays all the volumes
Oh, yeah.
beautifully out in wondrous 3D, just truly amazing box set. Like just beautiful.
Mhm.
But now that
Oh,
we
yeah.
told our stories on how we got into the series, let's talk about our favorite character. Who is our favorite character? Just gonna say it, Edward Elric, best character,
Yeah.
hands down.
Mhm.
I mean, there's no argument there. I mean, it might sound cliche and normie, but you know, Edward Elric is
He's-
such a good character. He's got development throughout the entirety of the series. I mean, he
Unlike-
literally ages with
Unlike
the
most
reader.
shonen protagonists. Oof.
Exactly.
True.
Like Naruto.
Luffy.
Goku.
Ichigo.
There we go.
Okay, you
Now,
go first.
Well, I do agree. Edward is quite the excellent character. My personal favorite is Mustang, because,
Because he's a fire starter.
he's such a fucking badass, man. Like my favorite scene in the whole series is when he kills Lust, and like
Yeah.
he
That was
he
a
had
good,
like
that was a good part.
He's like, yeah, I seared my wound. I seared my wound closed myself. I almost passed out from the pain, and he like carves a circle into his own hand. Like, what the fuck, man? That was
Oh
great.
jeez.
The adrenaline rush, man. That's what happens.
Oh, and they completely fucked it in the live action movie. Oh my god, that was
Ooh,
horrendous.
we aren't gonna tread that territory here on Manga Alert, thankfully.
Not yet.
Oh fuck, man. Anyway,
Shrug,
Shrug,
favorite character.
who's your favorite?
See, I'm a huge sucker for main characters, and as much as I love Edward, I gotta go for either Hughes
Ah,
or probably Alphonse. I've always really freaking loved Alphonse.
Hughes, the
brother.
unsung hero.
am I even a real boy, brother? Did you give me fake memories?
One of my favorite clips, and I watched
Drink your
this.
milk.
It's always been like in my feed ever since I opened YouTube for like the past 2 weeks.
I've got
and
your
it's
soul,
always,
brother.
It's always the scene of where Alphonse
Pinocchio.
and
Jesus.
I want to be
I'm a real
boy.
That'll be the hashtag.
I wanna be a real boy!
That'll be the hashtag we insert. I want to be a real boy with a dancing Alphonse Pinocchio. There we go. Confirmed. Full Metal
in all
Alchemist
reality-
ripped off Pinocchio. Oh man.
But what grows when Alphonse lies?
And with that being said, we're gonna go into the next segment. Worst character in the entirety of Full Metal Alchemist. This is a hard one. I can't actually really.
That's really hard.
I mean, it's like if I would have to nitpick basically who I really just don't like in the series. To be honest, I think one of the only flaws I think that I didn't really care for was I was about to say Arankar, which that would have been but the homunculus.
It's never been the same since the Arankar arc.
Ugh. No, man, the Fullbring arc. Ugh. Yeah, we don't.
Hey, this is Full Metal Alchemist. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Yes, for sure. Anyways, I didn't really care so much for the homunculus' stories. I think they were developed really well in the beginning, and then towards the end, they sort of proved to be really. They were plot material, but they weren't really developed very well. Lust gets killed off in like the 13th
Pretty early.
episode, so any sort of like backstory or development with her as a character is sort of overshadowed
really
by
get
her death.
much.
I mean, like you don't really get it, and then
I mean,
the other homunculus, which I guess the only other one that I could say I liked really, really well out of the whole group was not Envy, but
Wrath,
Greed. Greed was great.
Greed
was great.
Yeah. I like Greed and Wrath. I like Wrath a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Führer.
But like just
Also-
underdeveloped. Like Lust, just useless. Like no point in her being there other than fan fiction, of course. But yeah, I think that's one of the few sort of things I didn't care too much for.
And like, there wasn't much to Pride's character, but I really liked Pride's reveal. Like that was great.
Oh, like the twist.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
awesome.
that was interesting. I have to say I didn't see it coming originally, just because.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't expect it, and then when it happened. So it was cool. But I really wish there was some backstory, like even more backstory. We do get it, but it's very minimal, and it's not. They don't really dedicate an arc or like a segment towards, like, hey, the homunculus and what they went, because they're like how old? Over 100 years old, and like what would they do in that whole period? Like I don't know. To me, that would have been interesting to know about, but that's just me personally. But yeah, Rose is a terrible character. Oh my god. She is just the whiny fly in the ointment that just nobody wants to pay attention to. It's just her reason for being
thank God she was only in like the one chapter. Well, I mean, she comes back later, but like not really. So yeah, like the only like, I can't really say like any of the characters are bad for me. It's just the ones that are like underdeveloped, I guess, that you don't really get much of.
Yeah.
They're just sort of there.
Which for a 27-volume series, it does.
Yeah, I know. The fact that I don't hate any of the characters, that's pretty impressive.
I personally hated Edward and Alphonse's mom. Probably the worst character in the entire series.
Mom in
just
manga.
like falls over and dies.
She did nothing.
She's just like in the field there, and then she just like falls over and dies.
Well, she was the fuel to the plot, without her dying.
I mean, but what she gets sick of, like her kids.
They say it's like in the manga. I think it's not a direct quote. I'm no Wikipedia, but I think they say like it's the sickness. Like literally, they say the sickness is what killed her. I'm assuming
she
the plague,
a little bit too
but
hard.
like even then, it still doesn't really. It's plot fodder. It's there for the plot.
I mean, I think she just like breathed a little bit too hard and just like fell over in the field, died.
It was from washing all those bed sheets.
No, but it's like I really liked all the characters. There was like a lot of moments of where like there was a good moment for every character, and
especially near the end, because like there's so many great characters, but like near the end they all get a proper conclusion. It's pretty impressive. Like they mentioned these, but I love the Armstrongs. Though they were awesome, and Scar. Holy shit, man! There's so many good characters.
Yeah, Scar was pretty cool.
Like probably my two favorite moments in the whole series were their teacher's husband and Armstrong, like every time they would meet, they would like flex their muscles, and there would be like a solid like a minute just dedicated to these two like huge muscly men just being like, "Urgh!" just like looking at each other and like grunting. It's like it was like a Power Rangers like meetup.
Well, we gotta have some fan service for those lady fans too.
Oh yes,
so.
of course,
totally. And another one of my favorite scenes is like I said, it's like every day that I look at YouTube, I always see it as like the top video. It's the scene where like they just met Scar, and like Alphonse is sitting there yelling at Edward, and his arm falls off, and Alphonse sitting there starts screaming at him, going, "My arm just fell off, darn it!" And it's just like sitting there screaming at him, and I was like, I just really liked how like all the characters in one way or another gave me a good laugh.
Yeah, like it has some pretty funny moments too.
It's a dark series. I mean, for a shonen series, I mean, the first
it's pretty dark.
The first like arc, I guess you can say. And really, because it's only a 27-volume series, I like to I like to say that this story is broken up into certain parts, but not like individual arcs where they have their own individual moments.
Because it's like you can look at the whole thing as like one big story arc, I guess. But there's like, oh well, this is the part where they're looking for the stone. This is the part where they're like in the snowy place. And, like that.
But yeah, like in the beginning, like when it comes to terms of like how like their Alphonse and Edward's mom dies and how they eventually try to resurrect her using alchemy, and then it just is a bad science experiment gone wrong. Ultimately, ends up with one character losing half of their body and then another one losing their body completely. Is sort of like this deranged, like slice of life adventure kind of story. Like. I don't know, like I get a funny vibe from it because it's like, what if there was a medieval time story that is just like, hey, let's go on an adventure and hopefully we don't die along the way. Like FMA is just like a twisted like adventure story, and I love it so much.
But then after all the introduction parts, it goes right into the Nina Tucker bit, and that's like that shit's insane, man. It's funny. We were watching like the live action movie has this scene, and I mean it's completely butchered and shit. But we were watching it with one of my friends who had never seen Fullmetal Alchemist, and even when they did it in the live action movie, he looked at us. He's like, "What the fuck,
Big brother?"
Oh jeez.
It's.
Brother Edward.
The dreaded Nina fusion scene is quite the meme of the community, I guess. If there's any meme to come out of Fullmetal Alchemist, it's that one that always pops up because it's considered to be. I guess that's the considerable amount of how iconic it is because like it's it's a meme. It's a meme in the community.
Yeah.
So
and just because it happens so early on, like everyone knows about it.
Definitely. I mean, it's an interesting series. It has its fair twists and fair amount of twists and turns and shocking moments.
Like we were saying, like it does have a lighthearted side though, and there's some funny bits. The part I laughed at the most was when Winry goes into change and he's sitting there
chilling,
and he's eating the sandwich.
I just want some place to eat my sandwich.
That is a pretty great scene.
And I think that's done a bit better in the anime just because of the timing.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Have you guys ever seen like the bloopers for Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, the outtakes? When I first got into the show, I actually watched those and I was like, I don't remember this at all. and like I actually thought.
No, I haven't. I mean, like I said, this is
my
Manga alert. We don't talk about anime, but we do anyway. But I would imagine the bloopers are probably pretty great. And going into bloopers, talking about those for a second here, there are some pretty great anime bloopers from a certain show that hopefully we're talking about soon. So I'll definitely tell you guys about that after the podcast and all that. But moving on to the next segment. Moving on to the next best thing to talk about Fullmetal Alchemist is our ratings. What would we rate this series as a whole on a scale of 1 to 10, being 1 as the worst, 10 as the greatest of all time, being a masterpiece? Consider it to be in your top. I'm going to go first. I consider Fullmetal Alchemist to be a masterpiece. It's one of the probably prime examples of what shonen battle manga should be. In terms of
could be
exactly what it could eventually strive to be in terms of development with its main protagonist, a solid beginning, middle, and end, and then of course some of the most beautiful artwork from any mangaka. I mean, this series has some really great moments in terms of its artwork, and I think all of us.
It's not like a super realistic style, but it's just so well done.
It's a unique style. Let's just put it that way. It's definitely the author has adopted, or the specific mangaka has adopted a really good art style, and over the course of the 27 volumes, definitely some solid stuff here. So I consider it to be a masterpiece. 10 out of 10. It's in my top 5, probably top 3. It's sort of always changing with me in terms of like what my manga top 10 is, but definitely for the longest time that has been in my top 5. Like, that has not changed. It has always been in there. So until one of these days when another shonen just dominates, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere.
Moggy.
No.
Well, yeah, no, it's the same for me. I also think it's a 10 out of 10. I mean, like, it's not perfect, but I don't really think any series is perfect. You know, it'll have a few things you can nitpick here and there, like we said, some of the underdeveloped characters, but overall, it's still one of the best series I've ever read. And like, I think back to all the series I was reading back years ago, like, most of them I don't think are as good as I used to, but Fullmetal Alchemist has consistently stayed on the top of my list. It's definitely my top 5. It's personally my favorite shonen series I've ever read. And yeah, there we go. I just think it's amazing. And Brotherhood, also one of the best shows I've ever seen in general. Just really, really good stuff.
For me, I actually just sat here and like rewatched my review of it to see the score that I get. Like, I understand like the overall thing, but I like wanted to see like what my score was, because sometimes I look and like I scored that really horribly. But for this time, I still have the same opinion. I still think that it is a masterpiece. It's still very entertaining, no matter like what volume I pick up. If I just pick one up randomly, I'll still have just like a great time with it. It's full of action, it's full of really interesting characters and amazing story, really fun. And even though it's like you said, Shaman, a dark adventure, it's still really, really good. And I'd always have had it in my top 5 still. Like, even when I first like made my top 5 list, like back way years ago, I still had it in my top 5, and it will probably always be there.
Yeah. This like how Fairy Tail will always be in Apollo's top 10. What?
True. Forever in the video archives of the interweb. Yeah, this would have been a really funny time to actually invite someone on here that hates Fullmetal Alchemist. I have not met a single person.
Yeah, I've never... Like, there are, like, some of the best series I've ever read people don't like. But Fullmetal Alchemist, just, like, everyone seems to love it. Like,
and if they hate it, they're just really, really just, you know, like, nagging. Or just to,
like, you just...
to the point where
you just,
it's
like,
what?
Don't like anything.
Like...
Yeah.
It's the kids that sit there and like it's all like 7 Deadly Sins is my favorite shonen of all time.
Oh, but Fullmetal Alchemist is
but have
good.
you seen Fullmetal Alchemist? No. Fuck Fullmetal Alchemist. Meliodas is God.
Shit.
Praise the sun.
Praise.
Let me just go watch my Bleach.
Praise Meliodas or whatever his name is.
Meliodas. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, that, my friends, is Fullmetal Alchemist. My God, what a really great series. But now I wanted to kind of take time to do some highlight moments and talk about one of my favorite moments in the entire series. And if you guys want to share yours, be my guest. The ending for me, oh my God, the ending to Fullmetal Alchemist.
It's such a perfect
such an
ending.
emotional rush from Edward Alphonse basically making the ultimate sacrifice, taking his soul, finding out the truth in terms of like the whole like losing your abilities of alchemy to trade in terms of equivalent exchange, giving up a life in order to bring back something, and then also giving up the one true thing that everybody has, which is alchemy, and then finally getting that person that, oh man, it's confusing, and I can talk about it all day, but the ending to Fullmetal Alchemist is one of the best, because from that final moment, that final battle between Edward and Father, I mean, it is so good. Like, just the fight itself is solid. It's good, but
and like all the build up to like,
definitely. And then when of course Alphonse makes a sacrifice, man, that was an emotional run. I don't really get too emotional in terms of stories for a lot of manga, but that was definitely a pinnacle moment for me. Because when the writing is so good that you've convinced me that you've killed off one of the greatest secondary protagonists in the series, you know, because at the time I was like, oh, this is how Alphonse is gonna go out, huh? Like, we're not gonna get a satisfying, you know, like everybody gets what they want at the end, you know, because a lot of dark series don't get that, you know. Not everything is all sunshine and rainbows and everybody gets what they want at the end. So I was convinced that Edward was, you know, he was back to normal, but that this was it, you know, that was the end, you know. Edward's gonna beat father. Everyone's gonna be happy, but Alphonse is no more. So, but the ending was great. I mean, that is probably all-time favorite scene in the manga.
Yeah, for sure. And even though like it is a pretty happy ending, most of the characters get what they want. Like, it doesn't feel like a cop out. Like, oh, power of friendship.
No. So yeah, that's not what I'm trying to say. But the like overall, I feel like the ending was just perfect. I mean, I can't describe it. It was definitely the fight made sense, and then the overall end goal was definitely achieved in a proper manner. It wasn't like some bullshit like, oh, well, I learned this ability 10 years ago, and now I'm going to use it now, and like, no, none of that bullshit. None of the typical shonen bullshit that you would find in a series like Bleach and Dragon Ball Z or Naruto or One Piece. I mean, this
shitty sequel with Edward's son. My father was a great alchemist, and one day I'll surpass him.
No.
Oh,
let's hope not. But anyways, that's my pinnacle moment in the series. I think that was probably one of the scenes that I enjoyed the most. I don't know if you guys can relate or maybe talk about something else.
Yeah. Well, like, along with the ending, like I already mentioned, like the fight with Mustang versus Lust, that was incredible, and there's so many good moments. I think I loved when they first discover the plot twist of like turning the entire country into a transmutation circle. That shit blew my mind. I was like, oh my god,
that was definitely
I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, that was. If you want to talk about mass genocide done in a clever way, there you go. That's.
And it was great because there's so much foreshadowing, because like that's what Hughes discovers before he gets killed, and like oh beautiful.
Like I also like really agree with yours on your favorite, like on that fight between Lust and Mustang. Like it's a really emotional fight, but it's like if I was gonna pick my favorite, do you need to say something, Shaman?
Oh well, I would go ahead and finish your point. I was just agreeing with you.
So probably my favorite moment was where Edward and Lynn he was Greed now. They get stuck in Gluttony's stomach, and like when they, no, he was still.
Oh, is that when they boil the boot?
No, yeah, well,
that was a pretty funny moment. All right, I enjoyed that. No, that was pretty funny.
But the moment that I like after they get out of there using Envy. He sees like Alphonse's body, and like he's getting pulled out of there, and
that's a good scene.
And like you're sitting there, he's all like, I'm coming back. You just wait, and I have to. I know this is manga alert, and we're not supposed to talk about the A word, but I do have to admit they start playing the second ending right when like. Edward is like struggling to like get out, and you're sitting there and you're just like, oh man, it's getting real. And so that's probably my favorite scene.
And then you realize that the opening to that particular arc is god awful.
Hologram?
No, Golden Time. If that's a scene where they're in Gluttony's stomach, then it's Golden Time.
Yeah.
I might trigger a few fans out there, but in my opinion, I don't know. I think all the openings are great, but that one in particular, it just it triggers me. I don't know why.
I like Golden Time better than Hologram, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. I do like how Hologram was like the final song they played at the end of the series.
Unpopular opinion on Manga Alert. Beneficials, man.
But come on, best theme song, Melissa.
Oh yeah, hands down.
My favorite's probably like out of the whole series, it's probably Hologram.
Ew. All right.
Hologram it's not the best, but it's good. I can respect that it's good, but it's definitely not the best.
But yeah, I really like all of them except for like that weird the third opening from the original.
Yeah, that one was weird. Oh god. Sorry guys. Censor that gear. Censor that gear, please. Censor that. Don't
excuse him.
Don't play that for the world. We don't need them to hear that.
Anyway, so thoughts on live action film? Anyone?
It's uncharted territory for me, but I've seen the trailer and it's
Oh god.
I kind of called that it was going to be gross. Like just the CG.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this was a very low budget for what they were given. It was a Hollywood live action from what I've heard. So they did get funding for this. As far as the amount that they got, I don't really know. I think they blew their budget on either the shitty costumes and the wig that the actor had to wear.
Oh my god, the costumes.
Oh, shoot.
Like, it looks like you walked into
CGI.
Anime Expo. It looked like you're walking into Anime Expo.
No,
like Edward had this shitty
not even
wig.
Anime Expo. It looked like you walked into your school's anime club and you just saw some random fucking kid in the corner like, I'm Edward Elric, guys.
There were times where you could see his hair underneath the wig.
his actual hair. How about that? Because they couldn't pay an actor who actually had either blonde hair or we're gonna pay to get his hair dyed. Anyways.
And okay, Nina in CGI was so awful.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Brother Edward.
It was so
Big
bad.
brother.
And yeah, but just the story of the movie, it was so weird because they did keep a lot of the same elements, but not really. They basically adapted from the beginning to where Mustang kills Lust, but they did it in such a weird way where half of the events were the same and the other half of the events were similar, but they just changed really weird things about it. And the Führer wasn't a character; it was this random general dude who ends up being evil in the end. But he wasn't. But he wasn't a homunculi. He was just working with them. And the only homunculi in it are lust, gluttony, and envy.
What?
Oh, and also Sho Tucker, Nina's dad, is a main villain. He survives because Scar isn't in it. And
Oh
he,
my God.
goes right, he goes right up to the end. He's like, aha, Elric brothers. Yeah, okay. Winry's in the whole movie. She follows Ed and Al the whole movie, and then he captures Winry at the end. And it's aha, I have your girlfriend, and now I will kill her if you try to, right?
This just
Got
sounds
him.
so fucking cliche for a movie.
I know. And then, okay, but the ending was just beautiful. They get all the white naked zombie guys to come down and chase after them.
Oh, yeah.
And, they got all the military guys to come shooting at them, but then
Favorite character.
Gluttony gets scared and runs away. That's all we see of Gluttony. And then Mustang, he just burns up Envy like that, kills him in, one hit. Envy just burns up. Then he fights Lust, and they try to recreate it from the manga, but it's no. They make Mustang is a real pussy in this. He's oh, I seared my wound close. Oh, but it still hurts, and he's on the ground in pain.
Oh god.
And and then
Oh,
but anyway,
jeez.
yeah. But then what he does, he starts burning Lust, and it's not killing her, so he punches through her.
Oh,
and
what?
He tears the Philosopher's Stone out of her. But it's not the piece of the philosopher, it's an actual philosopher's stone. So the monkey he's here you go, Edward, to get your bodies back. And Edward's okay. And then he goes
What?
He goes to the gate of truth, and this is the ending. And it's he sees the truth guy there in Edward's body, and they're all right, are you ready to sacrifice your whatever? And I'm okay, he's gonna give up his alchemy and get their bodies back. But he's no, I'll come find you, I'll come find you, Al, but not like this. And then he leaves, and it's it's okay, what? Al, I saw you. Your body's there. We're gonna go get it back. And then it just ends. They're going off on a train.
So live action
what the
part
fuck?
2 maybe.
I hope not.
God.
Heck
Oh my
yeah.
It was so
The
bad.
sad part is it's a Netflix movie, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
the
It
amount
could happen.
the amount of views, I'm assuming the amount of views has to determine the amount of profit they made from it.
Yeah,
So
that's the thing. You can't with Netflix. People are just oh well, it's pretty much free, so we can just watch it and lose nothing. Right?
yeah. So
it'll, and there's so many people just gonna watch it out of curiosity, like myself, that it's probably just gonna make shitloads.
Oh my
I
gosh.
hope it never gets.
I'm
a sequel.
glad I
Christ.
didn't watch it personally. It sounds terrible. It sounds like it butchered
And,
the source material.
And some of the casting, some of the characters, even though they're all Japanese, I'm okay, they kind of look like the person they're being. But some of them, I'm who the fuck? The bald prophet guy from the beginning, like it's just this skinny dude with a full head of hair. I'm like, come on. How hard would it have been? Come on.
Throw a
Shave
ball
your head.
with the shitty costume budget. They could have at least thrown
Yeah.
a ball cap on the guy. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Oh, but there's this awful part where they have it so instead of what's her face Lieutenant Ross trying to frame her for Hughes's murder by Envy disguising as her, Envy disguises as Mustang. So Mustang gets framed for it. So then they arrest all of Mustang's colleagues. Like they get Hawkeye and Edward. They handcuff them and throw them in the cell.
Oh my god.
But it only lasts for like 5 minutes, because then it's revealed to everyone that Envy can shapeshift, so I don't even know why they had that in there.
This movie sounds like a
was
mess, but great with a few beers, honestly. Like,
Oh, yeah, for
not a
sure.
few
And,
beers,
like-
but a lot
jeez.
of beer.
And like they have the scene where they find Dr. Marco, but Lust just comes and like kills him. I'm like, oh, okay. Why not?
Yep.
Good job, boys.
Jesus Christ.
Yikes. It was bad.
Bad live action. All right. Well,
Oh, and you should have... Okay, just one more thing. You should have seen the scene where they transmute their mom. It is beautiful. Like, their entire house gets sucked up in a tornado. And they're just, like, on planks of wood. And they're just, like, floating away like, Edward!
that sounds hilarious. For something as
Oh, it was
serious
great.
as that scene, it definitely sounds like they did the opposite and made it a satire. But
Oh, yeah. Oh,
oh
yeah.
my god. Oh my.
Oh.
Yeah.
Go them.
Anyways, with that being
Go
said,
them.
do any of you guys have any last minute points for FMA? It's a 10 out of 10 series. I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
Just go out and buy it. Recommend you guys.
I think that
Well, before you talk, let me finish. Let the Meister of the Manga Alert podcast finish his point. Okay.
excuse me.
There we go.
Excuse me.
Definitely, if you guys want to go check the series out, definitely either wait for the Full Metal editions. If you're not a fan of omnibuses or like 3-in-1s, go and get the box set. You can get it reasonably cheap on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any sort of bookstore. If not, want it cheaper, go on eBay. I'm sure you can find it discounted for quite a hefty sum. The Full Metal editions are going to be coming out here pretty soon. Those are going to be really nice. If you want to support, I know it's Manga Alert, but if you want to support the anime as well, I believe Funimation has released both the original and then also the new Brotherhood on Blu-ray. So if you want to support,
It's also on Crunchyroll, the whole
that
series.
as well. So
Both
if
of
you
them.
want to go read
Yeah.
the manga, watch the anime, go sustain the industry, and just pick it up. if you
Piracy is
haven't.
not tolerated. Piracy is not tolerated on the Manga Alert podcast.
Oh yes,
We are-
because if you
We hate pirates.
if you can't pay the cash, you're out with the Crunchyroll. Yeah. All right.
Oh my.
So gonna move into the aftercast
Good-
now.
good one.
Welcome to the aftercast, folks. This is the segment where we basically talk about whatever it is that's going on in the world of either manga, anime, or just in general, like real life stuff. Like we just chill. Like anyone who's been with us for the 50 amount minutes that we've been doing the podcast for. Welcome to the Aftercast. Anyways, so what I wanted to talk about earlier, and I didn't want to bring it up, but for the Aftercast, going with the bloopers, Berserk anime bloopers. Oh my fucking god!
I've never
The
seen those. I
90,
have
the
to- I have to
90,
look
the
those up.
97 English dub bloopers of the Berserk anime are legendary because
Oh
That
my.
sounds
the guy
amazing.
who plays, I forget his name. It's not Corcus, but it's Gaston.
Jewish?
Gaston. Is voiced by Sean Schimmel or whatever, the voice of the
Right,
English
right.
dub voice actor for Goku. And so the
Yeah.
joke is always in the comment section on YouTube is, oh, Goku's dying. Goku's gonna die in Berserk. But in the blooper reel, there's like a scene where he's like, that's our captain of the Hawks Raiders. And he basically says something really stupid where he's like, oh, Captain Guts, I want to fuck you, or something like that as part of the bloopers. And these are uncensored, so they're like cussing. And like there's a scene with Casca where
Oh, yeah.
where she has that fantasy where she's like a housewife. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember that, Gear? Like in the Golden Age arc, where she's like pretending,
think
like
so.
like
I
oh,
think-
she's married to either Griffith
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Guts, and she's
Right.
like, oh, I'm the perfect housewife. I can't wait to get fucked by both Guts and Griffith. I was like, what?
Yeah. No, oh my god. No, yeah, the Fullmetal Alchemist bloopers are uncensored too.
Ooh.
And it's
I'm gonna have to watch
There's a scene
those,
where
'cause
like yeah, there's a scene where like Winry, Alphonse, and Ed are little kids, and Winry's like, "Hey guys, I forgot to tell you we're having stew for supper tonight." And Alphonse turns around, he's like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah, he
This
just turns around and
little-
goes, heck yeah!
And it's just so great hearing little kids swear.
And there's the one scene of where it's at the end of where Edward and Alphonse are standing on the roof, and Edward goes, "Wow, you can see the whole place from the whole town from up here." Alphonse goes, "Yeah. What if I push you off the roof again so that way you can get another leg?"
Yeah, he's like, "Someone break your arm, you just got back." Oh man.
Greatness. But yeah, so I was thinking, manga ideas, or not manga ideas, but video ideas. Got any of those coming out in the works, boys? April Fool's gonna be coming here pretty soon. I think
I need to think of something for that, like, because
I do
Gotta-
too.
I mean, I would just bring back Gear Third Gaming, but I don't know if I want to do that.
Forever Alone. Like he's got to make an appearance on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We got to get him on here.
Oh, that is true.
Same with Harold. Both two legendary manga tubers.
and,
here in the
Manga
community.
Mafia.
That him too.
Manga
him
Mafia. Oh man.
But I wasn't on his top 10 list, so I can't.
yeah, I wasn't either. Apparently, I don't upload
No,
enough.
apparently, we're not good manga
I was
tubers
like-
anymore. You know.
I was like
Apparently not.
I'm pretty sure I was number 2 on Manga Mafia's
Jesus
list.
Christ, we got ourselves
Yeah,
the
man.
man with the bounty over here. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Man,
only
that's
behind,
that's
only behind the
celebrity.
legend Insidious
I'm
Suite.
ranked two.
Always behind Insidious
Yep,
though.
never. No one can beat
Yeah.
him.
Can't beat the king.
Yeah, you have Canadians.
Yeah, Canada is always second to America.
Yeah.
You know?
Will Insidious ever be on the podcast? Who
Well, you
knows?
know, I've tried. I've messaged him. He's just like, you know what? You guys suck so much. I can't even appear on there. So that's he said
Can't stand
he said he's
you.
gonna be on the indefinite hiatus for sure. Remember,
Oh,
Gear,
no.
gotta censor this.
Why?
But yeah, so indefinite hiatus, he'll be on there. But you know what? We're better than we're. For those of you who are wondering, we are the internet's #1 manga-related podcast for a fact.
You're
For a
darn
fact.
right.
We would be number 2 if We Are Nakama was still a thing, but it's not. So
True, but
yeah.
they aren't, so we're #1. So,
yeah.
Heck yeah.
but yeah, I think we're gonna end it there. I think this is probably a good time to end it. But yeah, anyways, guys, thank you all for joining us this week. Once again, joining me today, we have the wonderful Shrug Pod and Gear Third Manga, and then also Neptune Plays, which I hope hope he's okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna like send him a message now. See what's
Yeah,
going
fair
on.
enough.
Because
Fair enough.
yikes, that was
Yeah,
weird.
no,
I didn't. I don't know. It just kind of. It scared me.
Yeah, I hope no one like swatted him. Shit.
Should. Who would do that?
Huh.
Gauru?
Maybe.
Anyways, guys, thank you all for joining us today. Have an awesome one. Peace out.
Some people